Please, you guys share, subscribe, hit that like button for me, and let's dive to this video. The real reason they're hiding the Jeff Epstein files. You know, everybody's talking about it. So I got to talk about it. Because Trump refused to let the list out. And there's many people saying that Trump is all on the Jeff Epstein list. So is it something that they don't want us to know? Because it's going to get out. This is not going away no time soon, y'all. Everybody's talking about it. So it says, according to CNN data, says Trump massive Epstein story refused to go away. The White House Jeffrey Epstein problem is not going away. Now, according to reports, it says CNN data analyst Henry says Friday that the name Epstein had been Googled 1.4 times as much as terrorists since Monday, which he said is huge news, and 1,200% more than Epstein was Googled last week. Now, much as we see Trump is putting terrorists here in the United States and the black communities on black farmlands, as much as he's putting terrorists in the EU, as much as he's signing executive orders, deploying military, Trump is doing a lot of things right now. You know why? Because he refused to let the Jeffrey Epstein list out. So that's why Trump is so busy. So it says, according to CNN data, it says Friday the name Epstein has been Googled up 1.4 times as much as terrorists since Monday, it says, which he says is huge news. And it says here, according to reports, it says Epstein is the top topic search with Trump on Google alongside his presidency. So it says the president has distanced himself from disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein, claiming he cut ties with him over a decade before he was arrested on sex trafficking charge in 2019, which I believe is false because it got a list of him partying with Jeffrey Epstein. Trump is all on the files, y'all. He can't deny this because, look, why is he not showing the list? So it says here, according to reports, it says CNN, it says Epstein, bear with me for a second. It says Epstein name was searched out 1.4 times. Searching comes after the White House confirmed Tuesday there was no call client list regarding Epstein, an accused of sex trafficker. And it says Trump as his closest friend before he took his own life in 2019. It says it's not just a Google search, social media, particularly X, says like Elon Musk, Trump right hand ring broadcaster Alex Jones expresses disbelief that the White House has not declassified more details of the federal government of Epstein investigation, a key campaign promise made by the president. It says even top Trump advisors Steve is not pleased with the development, calling for Trump to appoint a special prosecutor to probe the Epstein files. Now, I don't know about you, fam, but something very suspicious is going on that they're not telling us. You know, Trump wants this to go away. Like, don't talk about this. Because he know he was partying with them underage girls right along with Epstein. This is not going away, y'all, no time soon. The more we get more people bringing this up, the more I believe that the list will be out. Because the government has it, but Trump refused to let the list out. So as more as people continue to talk about this, the more I feel, you know, something will eventually give. So according to CNN reports, it said the data notes that Trump, who typically fight controversies with fire, consider his fears falling out with Elon Musk have been mostly on the issue. The president even shut down a reporter question related to Epstein during a cabin weekend this week. It says, are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Trump interpret. This guy been talked about for years. We have Texas. We have this. We have all these things. And people still talking about this guy, this creep. That is unbelievable. Now, let me tell y'all something. He's telling y'all, well, we got all these problems here. We got this flood going on in Texas, but he canceling out FEMA. Now, he want to bring FEMA back. See, look, man. I'm saying it like this, man. They need to bring out this list. They need to bring this list out because sooner or later, y'all, there's going to be more people talking about it. Because they know who's on this list. They know Trump was, you know, Jeffrey right-hand man. They know this. But they refuse to show you the files. Now, it says here, according to reports, it says Donald Trump normally leans into stories in which there's controversies like tariffs, for example, he says. But this is a story in which he's trying to get away from, basically saying, why is anyone still interested in this story? The bottom line is people are very interested in this story to a historic degree, at least this week. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something, man. People was interested in that Diddy's trial, right? And it's, you know what I mean, enterprise. So why won't nobody be interested in what's going on, you know what I mean, with the Jeffrey Epstein files? Come on now. Now, I'm going to roll this clip, y'all, because we got to dive into this video, man. We got a lot to talk about. Let's go.
Epstein's contacts.
A lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information.
Stolen by the Alfredo Rodriguez, who was the house manager. But a lot of the people, I mean, that was Jeffrey Epstein's thing. I mean, his thing was making money and children. And Jeffrey Epstein's relationships were all utilitarian. I mean, he wouldn't, if you couldn't help him make money or children, he wouldn't have anything to do with you.
I want to say this, man. They're showing all these former presidents, all these morons. They showing y'all on this files, y'all. You can't make this stuff up, fam. All these people need to be looked at. They need to investigate, and they need to look, thoroughly, because it's plain to this day, y'all. They got footage of these, you know, political leaders. Now my question is, how many political leaders that was on the island partying? Let's go, y'all.
Sexually abused in a San Bernardino or San Diego County youth facility. Significant compensation may be.
The DOJ may not have given a list of names, but at some point, a client list was made by Jeffrey Epstein that was scattered across his black book. Scribbled on flight logs and mentioned in hushed depositions. Some were powerful, some were famous, all connected to him. And now, years after his death, the Department of Justice just quietly admitted 24 hours ago that they're still reviewing the records for a potential public release. Still? This raises a question nobody wants to answer. Why now? And what's left inside those sealed files? So today, we'll look back, not for the sake of curiosity, but to understand how much power it takes to keep this quiet, even now. Jeffrey Epstein presented himself as a billionaire financier with an eye for science and charity, but behind the tailored suits and Manhattan townhouses was a predator operating in plain sight. His arrest in July 2019 wasn't the beginning. It was the second act. Years earlier, in 2008, Epstein had already faced accusations of abusing dozens of underage girls. He struck a plea deal in Florida that allowed him to serve just 13 months, part-time, in county jail. The question wasn't whether Epstein was guilty, it was how he got away with it for so long, and who helped him. After his 2019 arrest, investigators started assembling the puzzle Epstein left behind. A tattered black address book, private flight manifest, and handwritten notes. What connected them was all the names.
The FBI opened his safe, and he had hundreds of DVDs. And I'm sure a bunch of them had to do with compromising. And then I think he was also into child pornography too. So we have no idea.
So they have all the DVDs.
They have all the
They have the black book. They literally have
They have
everything. The plane was nicknamed the Loletta Express. It flew to his New Mexico ranch, to Paris, and most often to Little St. James, Epstein's private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The logs included actors, former presidents, billionaires, scientists, even royalty. Some names appeared once, others showed up dozens of times, and there were tapes found in safes, labeled only with initials, contents still sealed. That's where the questions really begin. Because if this list really means something, if it connects to the crimes and someone else knew, and maybe, just maybe, someone else was there. Now, years later, the DOJ says they're not done reviewing them, after just saying there was nothing further.
See, we know who was there. Trump is all in the files. It won't be denied. You will get prosecuted. This won't go away, because there's going to be a lot of YouTubers talking about this. This won't go away. You can't deny this. People was talking about the Diddy, trial. But we talking about Epstein files that they refuse to show something they've been hiding, but it's going to all come to light. What comes out that darkness comes into the light. It's a matter of time. Let's go.
To report on. In the early 2000s, Jeffrey Epstein was frequently seen in the company of political elites. One of the most scrutinized names tied to him is former U.S. President Bill Clinton.
So, any presidents' names in there? Well, actually, Epstein has, I believe, 24 contact numbers for Clinton. And it's very obvious that Epstein was providing girls to Clinton. I mean, when Clinton was president, Epstein was going into the White House with girls, with women. I don't think that they were minors, but Epstein was definitely delivering women to Clinton when Clinton was in the White House.
Flight logs show that...
Now, he's saying he don't think that there was minors, man. You had victims coming out saying that they were sexually abused. Victim that was 14, 15, 16, 17. I can just go on, man. I can just go on. But the truth is all I'm going to say, because sooner or later, man, they're going to wrap up these files. And they just need to show everybody that was involved. Those files shows the time, the date, who was all there. The truth is going to be said. Everybody is talking about this. Let's go.
Clinton flew on Epstein's private jet multiple times between 2001 and 2003, including on a 2002 trip to Africa for a Clinton Foundation initiative. On that trip were actors Kevin Spacey and Chris Tucker. Clinton has publicly stated he flew on a jet for work tied to the foundation and that he had no knowledge of Epstein's criminal activities.
You see that smile? That's a guilty smile. See, we ain't gonna talk about Clinton, because this should never be about Clinton. This should be about a president today. This should not be about Clinton. We all know what Clinton did with Monica Lewinsky. We all know about that. This should never be about Clinton. This is about Donald Trump. Refused to let the files be shown. I don't know why they showing clips of, Bill Clinton, man. They need to actually show the clips of him and Trump. I'm not going to get done to y'all see some clips of Epstein and Trump. Let's go.
His representatives maintain he never visited Epstein's private island, and Secret Service records back this up. Nonetheless, his name appears in Epstein's black book and in testimonies, including one.
You see that? How is it? They saying, now you hearing this, they saying that he never been to Epstein Island. This is what they saying. Bill Clinton never been to Jeff Epstein Island. Come on now. This the best thing they can do is show you a clip of Bill Clinton. That's not even our president today, man. Everybody knows Trump is on these files. This has something to do with Donald Trump refused to let the files out. Let's go, y'all.
From former Epstein staffer Joanna, who claimed Epstein once joked that Clinton likes them young.
So there was also a deposition from someone called Joanna Schoberg, who was also hired as a sort of assistant to Epstein and then later was drawn into giving him massages. She was hired while she was a college student. And she says that Epstein told her that Clinton likes them young.
Clinton has denied the allegation. Donald Trump also had a known social connection to Epstein in the 1990s. Epstein was a member of Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort. A 2002 quote from Trump described Epstein as a terrific guy, adding, "He likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." Trump later claimed they had a falling out and that he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago after an incident involving a member's underage daughter.
Tape in the NBC archives of a Mar-a-Lago party shows Trump giving Epstein his personal attention.
Flightbox confirmed Trump flew on Epstein's jet once in the
You see that? I wonder what that was about, them whispers he gave Epstein in his ear. Man, I like the party you giving. You got these younger girls around, man. I like what you doing. Come on, man. Trump played a big role, a huge role. You can't make this stuff up, man. He's denying that he had no involvement. Come on. Y'all can't make this up. The truth is going to be said. This is not going away no time soon. There's going to be more YouTubers like me and a lot of other YouTubers going to continue to bring this out, man. Let's go.
1990s. One accuser, Virginia Giuffre, stated Trump never acted inappropriately towards her, but the most direct allegation of criminal wrongdoing centers on Prince Andrew, Duke of York. Virginia Giuffre alleges that Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell her to Andrew when she was 17.
Architecture and interior design? Find a 3D designer today. Fiverr. Start now.
He asked me to dance. He is the most hideous dancer I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was horrible, and this guy was sweating all over me. Like, his sweat was like, it was raining basically everywhere, and I was just like, whoa, grossed out from it. But I knew I had to keep him happy because that's what Jeffrey and Ghislaine would expect from me. People on the inside are going to keep coming up with these ridiculous excuses, like his arm was elongated, or the photo was doctored, or he came to New York to break up with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, come on. I'm calling BS on this because that's what it is. He knows what happened. I know what happened. And there's only one of us telling the truth. And I know that's me.
A now famous photo shows Andrew with his arm around Giuffre's waist at Maxwell's London townhouse. Andrew denies ever meeting her and has questioned the authenticity of the photo. In 2021, Giuffre filed a civil suit against him. And
You know, it's sad that these victims have to go through this. They have to experience the abuse, the assault, half of them probably being raped. It's sad, fam, that nothing's getting done. But I believe sooner or later, if we get more people to talk about this, then we can fight a petition to get this underway, to get people that was on those files to get prosecuted. You know, this ain't right that they refuse, you know, to bring these files in. You know, Trump need to tell the world what really happened. If you innocent, if you didn't have no involvement, if you said that, oh, I am my relationship with Mr. Epstein. So if that's a true statement, then why are people telling me that he's all on these files? You know, I'm getting people hit me up telling me that Trump is on these files. There's a couple of my brothers that I watch YouTube that's talking about this more. You know, I got a couple of people that I watch on their YouTube that's talking about this because, you know, now that we see people talking about it, and Trump, Trump is saying, well, we got other things we need to focus on. Why we focus on this creepy guy that's not here? Everybody is saying, well, Trump is in these files. It ain't going to be denied, y'all. And it don't take a rocket science to figure that Trump is on these files. Let's go.
U.S. rather than go to trial. Andrew settled in 2022 for a reported 12 million pounds with no admission of guilt. Buckingham Palace stripped him of his royal duties immediately after. 3 names, 3 responses, and none of them criminally charged. But the paper trail kept growing. Leslie Wexner, founder of L Brands and the man behind Victoria's Secret, had perhaps the deepest financial connection to Epstein.
Wexner is a pretty dirty guy. I mean, he's also been named as a perpetrator, and I do believe that he is a perpetrator. And he and Jeffrey Epstein. Les Wexner has a very interesting history. He's got a history with the mafia. There was an attorney whose law firm worked for Les Wexner's Limited. His name was Arthur Shapiro, and he was shot in the back of the head twice, execution style.
I'm gonna say it like this, y'all. I love, I love some of my white brothers, man. Just to be honest, because the truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, people seeing Trump for what he is. People, Trump is not. He's not in it for the American people. I already knew the moment he stepped back in office, something was telling me that this Jeffrey Epstein gonna come. It's gonna come up. Something told me, and then something told me when he gets back in office. A lot of people will probably say, "Well, he's gonna make America great again." And I said, well, not quite. Because I always trying to say to my brothers and sisters, America can never become great again. And I always told you guys how Trump is going to get back in office and, build that wall and send immigration back to their home. I knew Trump was going to, send executive orders, and he was going to take care of the immigration, just like he said he was in 2016. So I knew all along what Trump's plans was. See, he's here this for a while. And then he must go back to where he belongs. See, nothing surprises us when we see tariffs happen in the United States. And he's put it, in the fortunate countries. Because, when you can't have your cake and ice cream, and when you went over into the Middle East to trying to think that you're going to go over there and shake things up, people laughed. Them foraging leaders laughed at him. He didn't get nothing done. And this poor little Israel, he posited Israel, on foraging soil, which is going to be the Palestinians' land. Because now you're going to see America, she can no longer exercise the Middle East. And there's a cold collision because there's a war that's bound to happen that America is going to have to fight Russia. Everybody now looking at Trump for what he is. A liar. An incessive liar. And I feel sorry for all those people that lost their homes and going through that flood over there. And now he's telling you, well, I'm gonna have to make some adjustments with FEMA now. After he was planning to take FEMA out. You know, this is pitiful, disgraceful. Everybody's going to just see Trump for what he is at the end of the day. I just want y'all to understand, reason with me. Because you're going to see Trump for what he is. And once you see, you're going to see the tables already is turning. Now let's go back to this Trump and this Epstein, list.
In Columbus, Ohio, which is where Wexner lives and where the Limited is headquartered. So, it was very much a mafia hit, and there was a police report, a homicide report. I've got it, that came out, and it named Les Wexner as the chief suspect of that homicide, and it talked about all of Les Wexner's mafia connections, which I was able to corroborate. The police chief of Columbus ordered that homicide report to be destroyed.
In the 1990s, Wexner gave Epstein broad control over his assets, even transferring ownership of a Manhattan townhouse to him. Wexner later claimed Epstein mismanaged more than $46 million. Despite their closeness, Wexner has denied any knowledge of Epstein's crimes and cut ties with him around 2007. There is also Leon Black, a billionaire and co-founder of Apollo Global Management, who paid Epstein roughly $158 million between 2012 and 2017 for tax and estate planning.
Was he the gateway to all the other powerful people that Epstein had intertwined into this web of elites?
I think that he was one of the gateways. I think that Epstein probably had multiple gateways, like Leon Black, head of the Apollo Group. Epstein got $156 million from him.
These payments came after Epstein's 2008 conviction. A 2021 investigation by law firm Deckard found no wrongdoing on Black's part, but the scandal led him to step down from Apollo. In 2023, court filings revealed Epstein had also funded some of Black's payments through offshore accounts. Another name on that list is Jess Staley, a former J.P. Morgan executive and Barclays CEO. He had a close and now highly scrutinized relationship with Epstein. Staley exchanged over 1,200 emails with Epstein from 2008 to 2012, some with bizarre references to Disney characters. He visited Epstein's island and allegedly stayed at his townhouse. Though not criminally charged, his ties led to his resignation from Barclays and a lawsuit from J.P. Morgan, which claims he misrepresented his relationship with Epstein.
A former associate of Jeffrey Epstein has gone to court in an attempt to clear his name, arguing that he was not a friend of the convicted sex offender. Jez Staley was the CEO of Barclays Bank from 2015 to 2021, when he resigned after years of inquiries into his relationship with the disgraced financier.
These men weren't just names in a book. They were cut from the same elite cloth, wielded with power, money, and privilege. And in Epstein's world, that was currency. Jeffrey Epstein didn't just surround himself with politicians and billionaires. He courted intellectuals, celebrities, and academics, often using the...
See, Jeffrey Epstein, he know how to coordinate. Just think about how many political officials, how many politicians he knew. How many politicians political leaders was on the island at these parties. See pictures these political politicians had with Epstein. You know, these pictures, y'all, these photos, you know what I mean? These explicit videos, you know, it won't be denied. Let's go.
The appearance of charity to mask deeper intentions. Alan Dershowitz, the Harvard Law professor and part of Epstein's 2008 legal team, has long been a vocal defender of both Epstein's original plea deal and his own innocence. Virginia Giuffre accused Dershowitz of, when she was a minor, claiming Epstein and Maxwell, her to him. Dershowitz denied the allegations, countersued for defamation.
You know the sad thing is, we about to get a petition going. Everybody's talking about this thing ain't finna go away. Trump is trying to make it go away, y'all. You know what Trump finna do, man? They got that he's smiling at us. I got that beautiful bill. I'm finna attack American people. I'm finna attack those people that's going against me. But you know, it's sad that God's gonna have to attack this country. He's gonna turn it upside down as he did with Sodom and Gomorrah. And let me tell y'all something. This is not to be offended. This is not to offend you. Because when Zelensky, I remember when he went over there in the press conference, y'all gotta listen to me. Zelensky was not threatening Trump. He was giving Trump a prophecy, telling America, yeah, y'all got nice oceans and water. And I want to say this, y'all, because that flood that happened in Texas, that was, you know, they got a redneck from the leftover buried. But the sea, when I look at the sea levels, and I look at these glaciers that's melting, it's bringing the sea level temperatures up. Actually, it went up to 10 feet. That's the reason why it started raining. Like 10 feet of rain just came. Like, the next thing you know, you see from that, it jumped to like 26, and then it jumped on up. It's just the waters, you know what I mean, continue to rise. You know what I mean? And, you know, I want to just take a moment of time, man. You know, that it's sad. Because after President Trump went over there and visited Texas, he realized something. He realized what he was doing. Taking FEMA stuff away. He's going to realize eventually, he's going to realize everything's going to eat him up inside of what he's doing to the American people. He's going to realize sooner or later what he's doing today is backfiring. Now let's go.
And in 2022, the two parties reached a settlement. Giuffre stated she may have been mistaken in identifying him. Dershowitz maintains that the settlement cleared his name and has since pushed for all Epstein-related files to be unsealed. Another prominent name is Marvin Minsky, a pioneering MIT scientist and one of the early figures in artificial intelligence. Minsky attended a science conference funded by Epstein in the early 2000s on Little St. James. Giuffre later alleged she was to him during one of those events. Minsky died in 2016 and was never charged. Some colleagues questioned the timeline of the claim, noting that his wife was reportedly present on the island at the time. MIT, meanwhile, faced broader scrutiny for accepting donations from Epstein even after his 2008 conviction. Then there was Bill Gates. From 2011 to 2014, the Microsoft co-founder met with Epstein multiple times, including dinners at Epstein's Manhattan home. Gates has since called those meetings a mistake. He says they were tied to charity discussions and ended once it became clear Epstein could not deliver on promises. However, a 2023 Wall Street Journal report revealed Epstein had attempted to leverage an alleged extramarital affair to pressure Gates into funding a charity project. Gates didn't comply, but the story highlighted Epstein's apparent pattern of using personal information as leverage. As for celebrity appearances, most were fleeting. Kevin Spacey, Naomi Campbell, and Chris Tucker all appeared in flight logs or photographs. Spacey flew with Clinton on the 2002 Africa trip. Campbell's name came up in Drew Free's deposition, but only as the host of a birthday party that Epstein and Maxwell attended. Campbell has since condemned Epstein's crimes and denied any knowledge of them. Some appearances were even less direct. Names like Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Blanchett, and Cameron Diaz were mentioned by Epstein in conversation, but there's no evidence any of them had a real connection to him. One witness said Epstein would boast on the phone saying things like, "That was Leonardo," even if it wasn't. What this section of Epstein's network shows is how he used reputation and the appearance of credibility to disarm scrutiny, and in some cases, to protect himself. Ghislaine Maxwell is the most infamous of Epstein's alleged enablers. Arrested in 2020 and convicted in 2021, she is now serving a 20-year prison sentence. But why, if there's no client list? Multiple victims testified that Maxwell helped recruit and groom them for Epstein, but she wasn't alone. Jean-Luc Brunel, a French modeling agent and close Epstein associate, was arrested in France in 2020 and accused of heinous crimes. He died in his jail cell in 2022 by his own hands.
A long-time associate of Jeffrey Epstein has been found dead in his prison cell in Paris. French modelling agent Jean-Luc Brunel was detained as part of an inquiry into allegations of rape, sexual assault and sexual harassment in December 2020. Mr. Brunel's body was discovered in his prison cell yesterday. He was being investigated as part of an inquiry into whether Jeffrey Epstein had committed sex crimes on the French territory against French victims.
Sarah Palin and Leslie Groff, both long-term...
Do y'all really think that Jeffrey Epstein was murdered? Do y'all believe he was plot, or did he kill himself? A lot of people now start coming out saying he wasn't murdered. This wasn't a plot. This is what I'm hearing, according to reports. He wasn't murdered. So could he have committed suicide? See, that's what I'm saying. I don't know, y'all. But something fishy, man. Something fishy with the whole, Jeffrey Epstein files, why they ain't showing. Which raised suspicious to me on why Trump ain't want to talk about it. There's a lot of funk going on right now, y'all, and all of us YouTubers is trying to get to the bottom of it. It won't go away unless we continue to talk about it, vote on it, get a petition going on it, and bring justice. Because we already living in a corrupted justice system where it needs to be reevaluated. Justice needs to come. Enough is enough. Period.
Epstein assistants were named in court documents as having scheduled and coordinated travel for girls brought to Epstein. Neither has been charged. On the legal side, former U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta approved Epstein's controversial non-prosecution agreement in 2008. That deal granted Epstein immunity from federal charges and ended a broader investigation. Acosta defended the deal in 2019, but later resigned from his role as labor secretary amid public backlash. These names weren't in Epstein's black book because he liked them. They were there because they helped keep everything running.
So basically, he was taken out. That's what his brother said. Okay, that might, you know what I mean? I'm just saying from according what people saying, and they saying that he wasn't taken out, he wasn't plotted. I don't know, fam, but I'm just going back to what people saying, according to reports and things. So he could have had been murdered because what I mean. Once you are in the prison system, I don't care, man. If you labor the way they label you in there, I don't care, man. You know what I mean. You can have a high profile case if you labor as a sex offender. That really don't fly in prison, man. That kind of stuff don't fly. They will kill you. So, like I said, fam, I'm just reading the reports here. A lot of people feel like he wasn't plotted, you know, and like I said, the government fails to, what I mean, to release to you the Epstein files. So, you know, man, we gotta just continue to talk about it, man. Cause they don't want you to talk about it. The more people start talking about it, man, look, the more it's going to discourage the devil, man. The more it's going to continue to rub Trump the wrong way, man. But like I said, Trump, man, he don't scare none of us at all. All of us just doing our job like we supposed to and bring justice.
Some knew, some claim they didn't. But without them, Epstein's operation would not have survived as long as it did. Since Epstein's death in August 2019, thousands of pages of documents have remained sealed in court, while some depositions and exhibits have been made public, primarily through the civil suit filed by Virginia Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell. Much of what investigators gather is still restricted. It is still unclear what these recordings contain, and they have not been publicly released. Meanwhile, civil litigation in the U.S. Virgin Islands, in particular, the case against J.P. Morgan Chase for allegedly facilitating Epstein's financial operations, has forced the release of some internal emails and banking records. These reveal a pattern of banks being aware of Epstein's 2008 conviction, yet continuing to do business with him for years. As more documents surface, names continue to be referenced, sometimes fleetingly, sometimes in detail, but without full transparency. Much remains speculation. In June 2025, this year, a short but notable statement from the Department of Justice reignited public interest. The DOJ confirmed to the court that it is still reviewing the Epstein records for potential release. This disclosure came in response to litigation by Judicial Watch, a government transparency watchdog organization. The DOJ did not provide a timeline or specifics about what documents might be released or when, but the acknowledgement itself was unusual. 4 years after Epstein's death and nearly 2 years after Maxwell's conviction, the question is, why are these records still under review? Are authorities weighing national security implications? Are additional prosecutions possible? Or are they trying to determine which documents can be made public without exposing people who were never charged? The DOJ's review could result in significant disclosures, or it could stall indefinitely, which it now looks like it will. But the statement confirmed what many suspected. The full story hasn't been told. What started as whispers in sealed courtrooms has become a global question of accountability. The names connected to Jeffrey Epstein span continents, industries, and social classes. Some were complicit, others were careless. A global question of accountability. The names connected to Jeffrey Epstein span continents, industries.
So you can't make this up, man. Y'all can't make this up, man. Y'all on the foul, brother. You all on the fouls, brother. He trying to deny involvement. He trying to say, nah, man, I end my friendship, man, with Epstein's, man. Yeah, he all on the fouls, man. In black and white, you see. He all on his files, man. You can't make this up, man. I want y'all to see it, man. Come on, man. If you can just go and the internet got this stuff, and what are you hiding that where we can see that you was there? Look, man, I'm gonna say it like this. He's hurting a lot of American people, man. Trump. The sad thing, he can only say that it's going to be a lot of American people dead and all this. He's saying this because he knows what he's doing. Yes, it's going to cause a lot of American people to die. Making wrong decisions will cause a lot of American people to die. See, what is hidden, brothers and sisters, will come to the light.
In social classes, some were complicit, others were careless, many remain unexamined. But as the DOJ continues its review, one thing is clear: the story isn't over. The silence around Epstein's network has lasted for decades, but silence doesn't erase truth. It only delays it. And the longer these records stay sealed, the more people will wonder who's still being protected and why. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this video for more Scary Hour deep dives in pop culture and more. Stay tuned, because as we always say, we're just...
Don't settle for less. Here's what others are doing to fix missing and broken teeth. The company everyone has been raving about is called New...
Would you raise your hand? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter not pending should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am. Would you please state your full name?
I'm Jeffrey Edward Epstein, and my residence address is 6100 Red Hook Boulevard in Virgin Islands.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
The sex crimes of millionaire financier Jeffrey Epstein are appalling.
I was unaware that I was going to be alone with him. I thought I was going to die.
More than 100 vulnerable teenagers and young women trapped in his depraved web.
You got a sick mind. You got a sick pervert mindset. You guys. Y'all part American. Saying whoever said legend. That's that fire. When you have a sick mind, you don't understand God's judgment at all. A sick, nasty, perverted mind. Because y'all see, America welcomed this kind of crap. He was able to beat the first one, but they're not gonna let him get away the second time. It's sad because this is what America represents, the most lewdness of characters. To come here, welcome themselves. And the people are so happy. Legend. That's a perverted mind. You are.
Tonight, the Epstein Files, the latest on who knew what in the biggest sex trafficking ring in history. His elite circle of the wealthy and powerful on notice as thousands of damning new court documents are...
Look at this. Look at this. Well, look at this. You got the president of the United States. Man, this is like a book. Come on, man. Where is they hiding? Where they feel that you seeing these people? You seeing it right here. You seeing it right here. The evidence is right here. All see people on the internet. They we see when the internet's undefeated. We will get the evidence. We will bring out and present the evidence. Sooner or later, they can't hide this. They can't hide this from us because God won't let you hide it.
Are unsealed. They will contain the names of people associated with Jeffrey Epstein.
Prince Andrew and the former President Bill Clinton have been named.
More are expected to come out.
In the last few weeks, they've linked Epstein to some very famous names and exposed some very sordid details.
There are videos that exist.
We've been investigating this scandal since Jeffrey Epstein's death in 2019. This is where Jeffrey Epstein served his sentence. That he can still shock is extraordinary.
I won't stop fighting. I will never be silenced.
As you'll see, this monster's tentacles continue to reach from beyond the grave.
Look, man, who is all there? Who's all at that Virgin Island, man? Tell y'all, man. There's a lot of people there. Then had politicians, political leaders. You know, the Epstein files continue.
Refusing to answer lawyers on the grounds he might incriminate himself, Epstein thought his own silence would protect him forever. With his death by suicide in 2019 and the jailing of his former lover,
You know what? The Most High, you know what I mean? Destruction been happening ever since things been going on. God done come in the midst of time. But see how much mercy he gonna have? That's the question. That's the question. And they see when a person don't really have concern, don't care about American people, man, they continue to be in a wrong, continue to do wrong. And one day ends gonna have to meet.
and right-hand woman Ghislaine Maxwell 2 years ago, Epstein's associates may well have thought the scandal was over. But after a decade of legal wrangling, more than 150 people have been publicly identified, linked to Epstein and his sex trafficking network.
He was a brilliant manipulator, not just of vulnerable girls and women. He was a brilliant manipulator of powerful men. A really heinous crime on an absolutely massive scale that was allowed to continue and continue and continue.
On my own island, I had picked the course I wanted to pick. I had picked the work I wanted to do, or I joined CFA.
Jeffrey Epstein's vast wealth gave him access to whatever he wanted. As we now know, the globe-trotting multimillionaire created a network where young women were supplied to him wherever he went.
I realize what I am. I'm very comfortable in my own skin. What I really believe is I can follow my own personality.
And with his own plane and plush properties all over the world, he felt free to abuse in the privacy of his various homes.
The This is New York. This is Palm Beach. This is California. This is Paris. This is.
Now to the brother comment, your brain can't handle the mass amount of info daily. My brain can handle what God gave me to handle. See, that's for the simple fact is you may not know the time that we are in. The great days of America has become a curse. Because you get such, leaders of this nation makes these wrong errors. And this is why, the nation is going to suffer. Because when you get old presidents in office and make these careless mistakes, because he never had any kind of sympathy for American people. And y'all wild, y'all be wild when y'all get aroused when y'all get a president in office like Trump. Like I told y'all, man, people are seeing Trump for what he is, man. You see Barabbas the way he is, man. Way the people ask for a request, man. Y'all wanted him. Y'all wanted him. So this is what y'all wanted, man. See, he's not like see this is why I agree 100% with Gab Newsom. He's not like he was in 2016. This is a different Trump. See, this is not the Trump that we all seen in 2016, man. Nah, this is not that Trump.
London, this is wherever Epstein was touching down. He needed to have girls on constant call. In every single state or every place that he goes to, he's already got people lined up.
I just think that we need to get someone that can be in for the heart of American people. That can, that can move the country in a better, situation. And this is causing us to. I feel we at some point where we finna like tremble. Like America finna tremble. Like you're getting to a point, y'all, that America's becoming weak, man. And all the other nations is rising up to another level. And it's like 99% of us, we don't even know what's going on. And whatever evil we see Spooner ready to do their worst can make it difficult for the 99% ignorant to ever know what's at stake. So I think there has to be a method. We have to find a solution to the trouble, to the problems we have today. Yes, because we got the younger generation coming in today now. We enhance, this kind of behavior with the young generation. You know what I mean? It's just like now. It's just like in the biblical days. We seen how how now we seen how the fathers were. Now you seen the sons. We seen what the sons doing. It never crossed the Most High God's mind. We're seeing such things going on. And I want to say this because we're gonna have to get back to the Epstein files, but actually people's dying everywhere. And Trump told y'all, he put it right in your face, man. It's gonna be so many Americans dying. There's people dying in Baltimore, falling out, drug overdose. Just look at the pandemic. Just look at, you know what I mean. Just look at that academic over there. There's a lot of people over there in Baltimore, poor, one of the poorest towns. I look at Philadelphia, downtown Philadelphia. Is it Kingsman? If I'm pronouncing it right, there's people are, drugs is just pouring the streets throughout America, and there's no solution. He has no solution, to continue to raise habit, to bring this beautiful bill to make it hard for a lot of us now. A lot of us American citizens. That will make me tell y'all that Trump is guilty. Why you seeing people talking about the Epstein files? Because they saying Trump is all on the Epstein files. Now, why will a man do such a thing? Why will he take and get rid of public assistance when a lot of millions of American people need it? Why would he decide to just get rid of Medicare? Y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all, man, I'm getting all my teeth. I got all my teeth. I stay at the dentist. I'm still getting work done. I got a crown and I got a root canal I gotta get, and I'm done. That's why I tell y'all, man, I'm urging y'all, man, go to the dentist. If y'all got your teeth need to be worked on, if you got your teeth, man, I'm telling y'all, man, if those who don't, man, that need teeth to be pulled and need to get these root canals, crowns, man, y'all better do it while you can, man. But like I said, man, why would a man be so happy? Be so happy as to get a beautiful bill done. And like I said, we all may not know what's in it, but a lot of us probably know what's, for the most part, we know what's the important things that they put in that bill. But I tell y'all, man, there's a lot of stuff in that bill, man. Yeah, it's going to probably surprise some of us. Saying this, y'all, just know the time we are in, man. Man, we are in times where devil ain't playing fair, man. Don't think he's gonna play fair. He don't even play fair with his own kind. When the moment Trump felt like when they decided to just get rid of FEMA, he felt like when he took that visit over to Florida and he took a visit to Texas, he could feel something inside him that they have to change. A change have to come. A change eventually have to come. But he think. He was thinking about taking FEMA, just completing getting rid of FEMA. This thing, when he went over there, because it takes you to realize, because Trump ain't, so to me, he's not You know what I mean? Looking at reality, man. When reality set in, when you go over there and see with your own eyes, and reality set in, you see those people that was missing. You see how many people died. You know, to me, that's the least thing as a president of the United States to go and visit. But you know, you seen this within a amount of seconds. Trump is like, let me make an adjustment. I got to make an adjustment there. I got to, I'm going to continue to do something with FEMA. After he was heartbroken. Come on, y'all. Is this a president of the United States should continue to run for American people? Because he's making a lot of mistakes, a lot of errors. And when you this old as this an old guy, you can't really think. You know, these kind of people got to sit down and let someone young that can handle it. Let's go.
And makers making that happen.
None of this would ever have seen the light of day if it wasn't for Virginia Giuffre. Her allegations of sexual abuse against Epstein, Maxwell, and famously Prince Andrew have fascinated and repulsed the world. In 2015, Virginia sued Maxwell for defamation. These latest documents are, in the main, sworn statements collected for that case.
It's hard. It's really hard being back here.
We met Virginia 5 years ago when she bravely returned for the first time to the Epstein mansion in Manhattan.
I was abused by people that I can't even mention here. There's a lot of scars hidden behind those walls. This should be ripped down. This should be burned to the ground. Some of my worst memories are from this place.
I continue to be shocked by just how awful this story is. The damage that was done to these women is incredibly hard to even express. It's been completely life-altering for them. It's incredibly unfair that this was allowed to happen with impunity for so long.
Lucia Osborne Crowley is a journalist and author who has long covered the Epstein case. She believes the significance of the new Epstein files can't be overstated.
It's really important that we understand the difference between having these allegations swirl around and seeing that people were willing to swear to them under penalty of perjury. It's an incredibly hard thing to do, and they were all willing to do it and to swear to the truth of it.
Lucia also had a front row seat when victims testified against Epstein's co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell when she was convicted for sex trafficking in 2022.
A lot of what Jeffrey Epstein got away with, he wouldn't have been able to do without her helping to recruit, groom, and entice underage girls.
But she wasn't just the organizer, was she? She was also an abuser herself.
Yes. So we also heard at trial from multiple victims that she was in the room when the abuse was happening and that she engaged in the abuse herself.
But the documents released by the court put the spotlight on the role played by others in Jeffrey Epstein's inner sanctum. The most controversial revelation comes from emails sent by Sarah Ransom, who was abused and trafficked by Epstein. Those emails claim she has seen video recordings made by Epstein of an unnamed friend having sex with Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, and Richard Branson. All three men vehemently refute the allegation. And in the past, even Sarah has denied the existence of the tapes. But just 2 weeks ago, she stood by her original claim in a Zoom call with Good Morning Britain.
It's no secret that everything was recorded. I've also seen recordings in his office. There are videos that exist. The people that know they exist, I'm sure, are very frightened of them being released.
Fear may also explain the resounding silence from others named in this recent mass release of documents. According to thousands of pages of sworn statements by women abused by Epstein, the men now in the headlines are potential witnesses. They place them at the locations where the abuse commonly took place.
The vast majority, including all the names that we're hearing about the most, there are no allegations of criminality. They are just listed as potential witnesses.
If these people are not being accused of any wrongdoing, why have they been named?
The question is what they saw, who they met, what questions they asked themselves about why girls at that age would be in any of the Epstein homes. And if they didn't ask themselves questions about that, why didn't they ask themselves questions about that?
The documents also shed light on the alleged dark motivation of Epstein's sex trafficking to get dirt on some of the world's most influential people.
There is, for the first time, the idea that he was quizzing the girls he sent to famous people for details of what happened for blackmail purposes. That has always been the suspicion that this man had cameras everywhere, that he kept blackmail tapes. That was his leverage. So I heard about Jeffrey Epstein sort of on the social Upper East Side grapevine in New York for a couple of years around the end of the 1990s and early 2000s. You know, he was a figure of mystery in that all people really knew about him was he had kind of out of nowhere known to be unconventional. People thought he was very good looking. And the only thing that people really knew about him, his sort of connector to the outside world, was somebody I knew. It was Ghislaine Maxwell.
With her link to English socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, Vicky Ward was the ideal journalist to profile Jeffrey Epstein. Her task in 2002 was to investigate the man behind the $500 million fortune.
My then boss at Vanity Fair magazine, Graydon Carter, phoned me up and said, you know, I've been hearing about this guy for years. Nobody knows who he is, where he got his money from, what his deal is. And that was how it all began.
But what started as a business story quickly turned sinister.
He liked to have parties with young women, but given that he was a very wealthy, at the time, you know, good-looking bachelor in his 50s, that didn't seem in itself, on the surface, so peculiar. But then I met this woman, Maria Farmer, and she told me that she had worked for Jeffrey Epstein.
No one immediately recognized how significant Maria Farmer would become in the Epstein story. Certainly not the authorities, when in 1996 she was the very first to report Jeffrey Epstein.
Right. All the politicians and political leaders have some kind of involvement. That's the reason why they don't want to show that video. But look, y'all, this thing, if we can see this, y'all, and we see who all was on these videos, come on, man. What are they hiding that we ain't seen already? Each one of them has some kind of involvement, man. That's why Trump, your president, is saying this is what y'all got to talk about. This creepy thing, this creepy guy, like he wasn't all on these files when they was rolling those cameras in. Man, he was there. You hearing them saying, well, Trump is Epstein right hand man. Trump was all at the Virgin Islands at these parties. Come on, man.
And Ghislaine Maxwell to the FBI.
Ghislaine came in to get me one evening. Ghislaine escorts me to Jeffrey's room, and he's lying there, and he goes, well, here, sit down. And so right next to him, and then Ghislaine sits on the other side, and they began assaulting me. But really, while I was lying there the whole time, I'm thinking, my sister's been around these people. My sister was 16. She's been around them alone.
Maria's fears were well-based. Her younger sister Annie had also been abused by the pedophile pair.
And it was the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
But in a pattern that would be set in the decades ahead, Maria's complaint of sexual abuse against her and Annie to police was ignored.
They just kept it all quiet, put it in the bottom drawer. And they were so dismissive that I just felt daunted and I stopped.
For more than 25 years, Maria Farmer has been filling her canvas with the Epstein story. A tale of horror that began in 1995, when, as a gifted student at the New York Academy of Art, she met Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Epstein gave her a job to buy art for his New York mansion. As well, she became an unwitting witness to a steady stream of teenagers and young women through Epstein's front door. And shockingly, she had direct evidence of Maxwell scouting girls for the insatiable millionaire. What did you witness?
So, several times, I was in the car with her, and she would ask the driver to stop the car. She'd dash across to the school or the park or wherever she was going, and she would write down her phone number for a child, a young girl. And then I'd see that child at the house, and she'd say they're auditioning. I found a model in the park, and I thought it was really strange because I did see a couple girls in braces, and I've never seen a model with braces.
Do you reflect on how different life would be for so many women today if the FBI had investigated your complaints in 1996?
Yeah. I think about it all the time. I do. And it hurts a lot. And I never had children because of it. Because I didn't feel like they would be safe.
It would be another 6 years before the Farmer sisters would again contemplate speaking openly about their experiences with Jeffrey Epstein. When they met with journalist Vicky Ward in 2002, Maria and Annie were nervous. Did it take a lot for you to convince them to open up to you, to talk on public record?
It did. There's no question they were very afraid of these very powerful people. And I felt that at least Vanity Fair magazine was also powerful. By us publishing their allegations, that would afford them protection. And so I think that we all proceeded under that premise, and unfortunately that premise got exploded in the worst possible way.
Sad thing is everybody everybody don't want to believe in these victims. We live in a world where we never gonna believe what people went through, what people had to experience in that Virgin Island. That shows you how half of the world is so sick and have the sick minds. Because this half of the world they don't believe of what these young girls have to go through. There's so our world society we it's so filled with sickness, you know, and we're not just going to believe of what these people have to go through. You know how humiliating things is where you got a president of the United States, he's on these files because you can Google everything up nowadays if you want to. It's just humiliating. Like at the end of the day, because anybody, a kid can just go on the internet and just type in boom, and you'll find it right there. And it's sad because now the people that have platforms like me, include myself and other people, we gotta now do our homework and bring justice in, man. Because like the gentleman, earlier today, he says, yeah, man, there's a lot of politicians that have some kind of involvement. And I agree 100%. But but it's never seen. It's never going to be recognized. Let's go.
What blew it up? What happened?
Well, what happened as this piece was going forward, and I had to finally put all the allegations, both of the business stuff and the farmers' allegations, to Jeffrey and Ghislaine. They, in their different ways, went completely berserk.
Epstein was instantly menacing, a man prepared to bully and intimidate to save himself.
He treated the entire thing as a game, a really dark, twisted game. He even said to me at the beginning, okay, let's play chess. I'll be black, you be white, you get the first move. And from there, it descended into a sort of horrific game of cat and mouse. He would phone me every day. And then he told me that if he didn't like what I was going to write, he was going to have his witch doctor place a curse on my unborn children, and that was off the record. Then he told me he was going to sue me and ruin me personally, and I was just really frightened of what this man could do.
So even though the threats he was making against you were quite preposterous, you took him seriously. Like you were genuinely frightened.
Yeah, because at the end of all of this, at the end of months of digging, meeting the farmer sisters, there was still this question mark. Who is this guy?
But it only got worse when Epstein made a personal visit to Vicky's boss at the time, the editor-in-chief of Vanity Fair. Epstein got the result he demanded. Maria and Annie Farmer's allegations were cut from the story that went to print in late 2002. So as the journalist who had uncovered these allegations and convinced these sisters to go public, what was your reaction to see that your work was not in your article?
Well, I remember bursting into tears and saying to the person who was directly my editor, we've exposed these poor women. I mean, this is unconscionable.
Was it a reflection also of an abuse of power? I mean, if Jeffrey Epstein walked into the editor-in-chief's office,
Of course. 2002 was an era in which Jeffrey Epstein and other predators, Harvey Weinstein, were running the world. And women everywhere weren't speaking up. And the idea that two men would have a meeting after which these allegations would get pulled. I mean, in the world we live in now, it's monstrous.
Vicky's boss, Graydon Carter, denies being influenced or intimidated by Epstein. But either way, the Vanity Fair story didn't go anywhere near exposing the depths of Epstein's depravity.
I only got the very, very, very tip of that iceberg. I didn't get to the den of iniquity that we now know was really going on behind Jeffrey Epstein's closed walls in the mansion in New York and on his island and in Palm Beach.
Around that mansion, that's where this part of the sex trafficking ring really kind of came to life.
Palm Beach, Florida is home to some of the wealthiest people in America, an exclusive enclave for the rich and powerful, including former President Donald Trump. Jeffrey Epstein's luxurious home here graced the foreshore, its white walls and inscrutable exterior hiding a dark truth. A place where it's estimated more than 100 girls were tricked and abused, their lives changed in an instant.
At 14, I was still in middle school. I was straight A student, never even got a B. I played the first chair trumpet. I was the captain of the cheerleading squad. And then after I met Jeffrey, I just completely quit.
This is where you were living for a while.
Yes, this is where I was living when I met Jeffrey Epstein.
Epstein was 48 when a teenage Courtney Wild entered his orbit in 2001. At the time, she was living in this trailer park, one of West Palm Beach's poorest communities.
Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein targeted areas like this?
Yeah, definitely targeted, children like myself that were vulnerable to him and his money, and we felt like we were being helped and saved by him, when ultimately he was just preying on us.
As Courtney told me in 2019, her experience started when she was brought to the millionaire by another 14-year-old to make much-needed cash. The trap had been set.
What were you expecting to happen? Why did you think you were coming here?
Well, I knew that I was coming here to give a guy a massage and to make $200. I did know that. It was never told to me that I would be molested by this man or anything like that.
Inside, Courtney very soon discovered massage was cover for a terrible, well-rehearsed crime.
We were taken upstairs. It was like a circular stairwell that led to a hallway that led to his bedroom, which the massage table was in his bedroom, bathroom. He asked us to get comfortable, to just, take our clothes off, to be in our bra and panties.
Were you abused during that session?
And so we would massage him for about 30 minutes. And then whenever he was ready, rolled over and asked the person that brought me to go downstairs and wait. And once that happened, then that's when the sexual abuse happened. Yes.
You're 14 in a completely alien situation, an incomprehensible position. How did you react?
I just remember afterwards how I felt walking down the stairs, and I just felt so dirty and so just like a piece of me had been taken. Dirty. I felt it was like my dirty little secret.
Virginia Giuffre's experience was eerily similar, except her recruiter was not a fellow teen, but the sophisticated and seemingly trustworthy Ghislaine Maxwell. Virginia was 16 and working at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort when Maxwell spied her reading a textbook on massage.
She just seemed very nice, and she said, I've got a person that I know who's actually looking for a traveling masseuse. And if you want, I can get you an interview with him. If he likes you, we can get you educated. He'll be a real masseuse. And you'll get to travel and see the world. And she made it sound like it was a dream come true. And it wasn't.
Within hours, Virginia was at Epstein's Florida mansion, lured there by Maxwell's promise. It ended in a devastating sexual attack.
So put it this way, we did the back of him, we did the back of Epstein, and then when he turned over, that's when I was instructed to get undressed and have sex with Jeffrey Epstein while Ghislaine Maxwell was participating as well.
You want to take a moment?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
So you were abused by both of them in your very first encounter?
Yeah, both of them. I was abused by Ghislaine and Epstein. I don't mean to sound sexist in any way, shape, or form, but I expected it from a man, but I didn't expect it from a woman. And, yeah, I think that's what hurts the most.
Maxwell's role as Epstein's co-conspirator, for which she is now serving a 20-year jail term, is well known. But in truth, it went well beyond Maxwell. The pair devised a scheme to feed Epstein's voracious appetite. They lured poverty-stricken girls in with cash, fanning their dreams of a better life. According to journalist Lucia Osborne Crowley, by the time the sexual abuse began, many were too invested in their promises to get out.
This was a well-oiled machine of finding vulnerable young girls who really needed someone to look after them, and then also using those girls to try and entrap younger and younger girls. And a lot of that, it seems, was developed in Florida.
How many girls do you think you brought to Jeffrey Epstein?
At the minimum 50, but anywhere from 50 to 70 girls.
What were their ages?
The same ages as me, 14, 15, 16. I just hold a lot of guilt and shame for doing those things, and just to know that I had any influence on that happening to somebody else, just, you know, it's just devastating. It breaks my heart.
Epstein's vile pyramid scheme might have continued unchecked, if not for the stepmother of one of his teenage victims, who called the Palm Beach Police Department in 2005.
It was an incident that occurred maybe like three and a half weeks ago with one of my stepdaughters. Found out that ended up being that they went to Palm Beach to a gentleman's house, and they start off by giving the gentleman a massage. If he pays them, if he likes them, and he thinks that they're pretty enough, he takes them around to do other things. Okay. So I wasn't quite sure if there was an investigation or if you guys had any word. Well, this is the first I'm hearing of it.
That initial call was so alarming, the police launched an investigation, and it didn't take them long to uncover the revolting scale of Epstein's network.
Did Jeff know anybody's real true age, or he didn't care?
I don't think he cared. He told me younger than both.
Asked me to take my shirt off, so I took my shirt off.
Okay, so were you in bra or were you topless?
I ended up being topless, yeah. And he started getting, I was all excited about it, and he started touching himself.
During the massage, did he ask you to remove your pants, or?
Yeah.
Police interviewed a staggering 40 victims whose ages ranged from 13 to 16. Their accounts were shocking enough. But what they found in Epstein's home was a creepy insight into his depraved life. Dozens of nude photos, a steam room, and a massage room with sex toys. Among the damning evidence were phone message pads, clearly showing a trade in young girls, scheduling them for massage appointments, and flight logs listing girls being transported aboard Jeffrey's private plane, dubbed the Lolita Express.
I think it's really important to know that it is actually much, much worse than we think.
In 2006, much to the relief of police, this predator was finally caught, a wealth of evidence amassed against him. But But his own vast wealth and his immense influence saw him escape charges that should have landed him in jail for life. Instead, he served a mere 13 months when prosecutors accepted.
You see that? Not even Diddy couldn't get away with the charges that Jeff Epstein had. But see, they make sure he's not going to get away the second time, though. They make sure that. The first time, yeah, they slap, you know what I mean? They slap his hand on the wrist. Good job. Now don't go and commit no more of these crimes. The second time around, they're not having it.
Accepted his guilty plea to the minor charge of soliciting a child for prostitution. But while he was technically an inmate at the Palm Beach County Stockade, he really just slept there.
It was essentially a slap on the wrist. He got 12-hour work release from prison every single day. Other journalists have described it as he just basically had to sleep in a crappy motel for, a bit over a year.
For many, the most outrageous part of Epstein's plea bargain was a seedy deal he struck with the Attorney General for the Southern District of Florida. It gave Epstein and any alleged co-conspirators, known or unknown, immunity from further prosecution, supposedly forever. Worse still, none of his victims were told about the deal.
How do you feel about that? To be sexually abused by a man and have the government know, and then actually, co-conspire with the perpetrator to make sure nothing happens to him is just so. It just sounds unreal. Why do you think the government did that? My personal opinion about that is, money, power, and I think that there was a lot of people involved in this underage minor sex ring that they were running, and I think everybody wanted it to go away.
So you believe that there was a conspiracy play here?
Oh, absolutely.
Look, she's saying that. Just imagine how long she had that interview. How long that interview. This is how long that interview was. She said that, with a lot of confidence. This is why they're bringing it back up. You know how long this interview she had? This could probably have been a year ago. Maybe it could have been several years ago. Who knows? She's bringing that up because, like most of us may not believe that with nobody, because we come in America where nobody cares, nobody see nothing, nobody cares. So if you don't see nothing, you don't hear nothing, you don't care too much about it. But we got people are concerned that this woman is saying that there's a lot of people is there. Even your political leaders.
Really is a sordid story, everything that happened in Florida, and the fact that authorities did know, did arrest him, did charge him, and he still was able to continue.
And according to Virginia Giuffre, the abuse didn't stop with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. She was not just their sexual plaything. She was now part of their international sex trafficking ring, lent out to whomever they liked.
I was trafficked to other billionaires. I was trafficked to politicians, professors, even royalty. It was.
You see what I'm saying? That's why they don't want to release the tape. She said politicians. Now we don't know if she's going to say any names But I'm gonna tell you something, man. This is why they're not releasing the tape, man. Because Trump knows, man. Trump knows he has some kind of involvement.
It was the elite of the world. It was the people who run the world. It was the most powerful people in the world.
What if you could earn commissions simply by offering 0% interest funding to business owners? I'm Leo Cannell, the creator of the Funding Machine. I've built multiple...
Ghislaine was this sort of very exotic, glamorous figure who would drop in and, to be honest, name drop a lot of famous names that she'd been hanging out with. We heard about Bill Clinton and sort of all sorts of other people. And we also knew that she was very good friends with Prince Andrew and that Jeffrey Epstein would sometimes have Prince Andrew to stay.
As a British expat in New York, journalist Vicky Ward moved in similar circles to socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, the daughter of disgraced mega-rich media tycoon Robert Maxwell. Following her father's suspicious death aboard his boat in 1991, Ghislaine moved to New York, where she started her relationship with the millionaire Jeffrey Epstein. In 2002, Vicky was assigned to write a profile of the mysterious financier for Vanity Fair magazine.
When I began reporting this piece, I actually ran into Ghislaine Maxwell. And I sort of said breezily, "Oh, Ghislaine, yes, I'm writing this story about Jeffrey and the money." And I was really taken aback when she started to cry. Like, why is this woman crying? This doesn't seem to make any sense. Well, I didn't know that I was, from her perspective, probably in danger of pulling back the curtain on what was an absolutely horrific criminal sexual enterprise involving both of them.
Epstein and Maxwell complemented each other perfectly. He had the money she was used to, she had the contacts he wanted. The most high profile, of course, being Prince Andrew, who is famously accused of abusing the then 17-year-old Virginia Giuffre at Epstein and Maxwell's invitation.
We went to Club Tramp and he danced with me and he sweats a lot. He smells funny. And then we get in the car and Ghislaine tells me in the car that I have to do what I do for Jeffrey for Prince Andrew. And that's when I learned what was going to happen.
There's a slight problem with the sweating, because...
It was a claim and counterclaim that turned this royal's life upside down. His ill-advised decision to appear on the BBC in 2019 left him, if not sweating, then red-faced. His attempt to convince us he knew nothing of the teenage Virginia fell flat when this photo, taken in 2001 in Maxwell's London apartment, resurfaced.
She provided a photo of the two of you together.
Yes.
How do you explain that?
I can't. Because I have absolutely no memory of that photograph ever being taken.
Your friend suggested that the photo is fake.
I think it's, from the investigations that we've done, you can't prove whether or not that photograph is faked or not, because it is a photograph of a photograph of a photograph. So it's very difficult to be able to prove it. But I don't remember that photograph ever being taken.
So as you know, Prince Andrew denies the allegations against him, and he says that this photo is a fake, that he was never there, and that it's not his arm, and they're not his fingers.
Those are his fingers. That is Andrew. This photo has been verified as an original, and it's been since given to the FBI, and they've never contested that it's a fake. And I know it's real. And he needs to stop with all of these lame excuses. We're sick of hearing it. This is a real photo.
And that was the first time you met him?
And that's the very first time I met him. And that's right before I was abused by him.
How many times were you trafficked to him?
3 times.
Her allegations against Prince Andrew are laid bare in the newly unsealed court documents. The disgraced royal is mentioned 69 times, and not just by Virginia. Johanna Schoberg, who was 21 at the time, claims to have had her own traumatic experience with Prince Andrew. And she says she saw the Prince and Virginia together at the Epstein mansion in New York. According to British-based Australian author Lucia Osborne Crowley, her account, given under oath, is damning of the Prince.
We also have an allegation from a separate victim, Johanna, who has said that she was groped by Prince Andrew. So that's incredibly significant because we have sworn testimony from a second person corroborating that he did engage in illegal acts relating to minors.
Do you expect Prince Andrew to be under further legal scrutiny?
I think that certainly Prince Andrew will be facing many more questions given what we've learned in these new documents, and it's really important, I think, for the authorities to look at the fact that there is a second person who's alleging that he broke the law, and whether they need to speak to those victims and other potential victims to see if there is anything that they can or should be charging him with.
I wonder if you have any sense now of guilt, regret, or shame about any of your behaviour and your friendship with Epstein.
As far as my association with him was concerned, it had some seriously beneficial outcomes in areas that have nothing to do with what I would describe as what we're talking about today.
Prince Andrew has since found regret, but continues to deny all the allegations levelled at him. He settled with Virginia Giuffre on the eve of their civil trial in 2022. Reportedly, for more than 50 settling with her, the prince likely thought the saga was over. But the release of these latest documents once again raises questions for him and many other Epstein associates.
Those are very wealthy, powerful people, and so far they've escaped without many questions being asked of them.
Billionaire financier Jeffrey Epstein has been arrested and charged with sex trafficking involving underage girls.
He could face up to 45 years behind bars.
It was a prized catch. In 2019, the roar around Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring was so loud, police were forced to act. Neatly befitting the lifestyle of a jet-setting millionaire, Epstein was nabbed on his private plane as he landed back in the US from Paris. For his most outspoken victim, Virginia Giuffre, his arrest was a gift more than 20 years in the making.
I never thought it was going to happen. I honestly thought he was just going to continue to get away with it over and over and over again, just like he proved so many times. So yeah, it was like Christmas in July. Big time.
But the expectation that Epstein would finally face his crimes was dashed when he was found dead by suicide in his jail cell a month later.
Disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein has taken his own life, the bombshell development, raising many new questions.
With Epstein dead, the charges against him were dismissed, denying justice to his many victims. And his co-conspirator, British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, became the most wanted woman in the world, as she went on the run.
So the idea that this woman could be involved in something as depraved and horrific as this, that was mind-boggling.
As journalist Vicky Ward and the rest of the world watched on in fascination, Ghislaine was tracked down to a luxurious New Hampshire hideaway after eluding police for a year.
Today we announced the arrest of one of the villains in this investigation.
This day to me has been like one of the best days of my life. I have not stopped smiling. and crying, having tears. And I'm just, I'm elated to know that she's where she belongs.
Immediately upon Maxwell's arrest, Virginia spoke for all the victims of the sex trafficking ring.
She ruined so many lives. She belongs to jail. You want to hurt kids? That's where you go.
In 2022, Maxwell was convicted on 5 sex trafficking counts. The then 60-year-old sentenced to 20 years in jail. She has lodged an appeal which will be reviewed in March and continues to claim her innocence from jail, as she told her brother, Kevin Maxwell.
Everyone was always asking who is the real G, who's the real Gila.
It's definitely not the person portrayed. I feel completely divorced from the person that people reference and talk about.
Is that the biggest misconception of you?
That I'm the cruelest, meanest, horriblest person who's committed crimes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I literally haven't seen any details that are accurate.
Lucia Osborne Crowley was one of the few journalists granted access to the court to report on Maxwell's trial.
It was surprising that even at her own federal sex trafficking trial, she didn't appear to have a lot of humility and still was incredibly confident. And I certainly got the sense that she did not expect to be convicted.
And certainly no remorse.
Certainly no remorse. She basically said that she was sorry for the damage that Jeffrey Epstein had caused them, and that's all she said.
With Maxwell behind bars and Epstein dead, this case appeared to be resolved. But the recent release of these court documents shows how little we still know.
There are so many names that we are left with question marks about. What was his appeal? Why did some of the most powerful men in the world flock to him? What was Bill Gates doing around Jeffrey Epstein? I'd love to hear from Bill Clinton what he saw in Jeffrey Epstein. That would be great to know.
In all, more than 150 names have been linked to the disgraced millionaire. But apart from some denials of any wrongdoing, the silence from those identified has been deafening.
We've got evidence of sworn testimony where people are naming very, very powerful people who would have been in a position potentially to do something about what was going on here. And instead we had a sex trafficking ring that went on for at least 2 decades, possibly 3, with almost complete impunity. And so that's the point that I think we really all need to hold on to about scale here, is that not the splashiness of these names, but just how many there are, just how many people there are that victims pointed to say, this person can corroborate my story, this person can be a witness, this person met me on the island, this person saw me. And those are very, very wealthy, powerful people, and so far they've escaped without many questions being asked of them.
We'd have to assume that they're just running from this as far and as fast as they can.
Yes, well, I've been quite surprised at the silence over the last couple of weeks, if I'm completely honest. I would have thought that at least some of these people would have felt an obligation to do some explaining.
At the very least, association with Jeffrey Epstein raises questions of judgment, right? Nobody looks good for having hung out with Jeffrey Epstein now knowing everything that we know. Whether or not they should be held accountable as to whether or not there was any criminal activity. And obviously we just don't know. One has to hope that because we now know so much more, that there is so much public scrutiny on this, that the wheels of justice will turn in a way that they definitely didn't for a very long time.
The legacy of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell is to expose a darkness too awful to imagine. But as difficult as it is to comprehend, it would seem there's even more to be revealed.
Certainly from what I know, that there are more people who aren't even on this list that either knew or potentially participated in what was going on around Jeffrey Epstein.
Do you expect that others will be charged, that others will face prosecution?
I very much hope so. I think it's really important to know it is actually much, much worse than we think, and that we're comfortable accepting.
I want y'all to look at that face of Trump. Look at all those people that was on those files, man. You can't make this stuff up, man. But the question everybody asking themselves, will any of these world leaders be prosecuted? That's that the Virgin Island, man. Now, you heard what the girl said. She said this thing was real bad. And it happened more than I guess she was saying it happened more than 3 decades. When she was asked, will any of these people be prosecuted? And she's hoping so. That's how this is how corrupted the justice system is. They they fail to relook things. We seeing, we hearing what the people are saying. We hearing the talk from the victims. So the question is, will these individuals be prosecuted?
Hello, I'm Tara Brown. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia.
Like I said, thank y'all for tuning in, man. For more updates, y'all, please stay tuned, man. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, man, for more updates. Till then, we out.